Welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast with me, Hiram Roche. This podcast, we encourage fathers, husbands, believers, and entrepreneurs to be able to walk into their God-given potential. Hello, everybody. How you doing? And welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast. I am your host, Hiram Roche, also known as HR. And as always, it is an honor and a privilege to be with you, my greatness tribe. Hey, listen, we are on day 6, episode 6 of this wonderful journey that we have been on this month called the March Madness. And I'm hoping that these conversations have been helpful for you, have been pushing you. And if this is your first time joining in on the conversation this month, throughout the month of March, we are doing multiple episodes, a little bit more than what we normally would do. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have been on throughout this month, being able to really just push each other, but also being able to go through my new book, my first book, Start with the Finish in Mind. You can be able to purchase that on Amazon as of right now. The link is in the description, so you can be able to go and just check that out, get your copy. I believe that this workbook is something that gives every individual the tools that they need to be able to be effective, no matter what your category is. If you are trying to create a vision for a business, trying to do something, a dream, a desire, a goal. These are some things that I believe are steps and tools that will help you to be able to be effective in achieving the goals that you're trying to go after. So on tonight, we are continuing the conversation. And in the conversation on tonight, I want to be able to talk about the journey. I want to be able to talk about us actually embracing this journey. We have talked about the vision. We have talked about our mindsets. We've also even talked about the assignments. We've also talked about the things that hinder us in these pieces. We've dealt with throughout this week, talking about our discipline and consistency. We've dealt with some major pieces, but I want to talk about on tonight, embracing this journey. Every journey begins with a single step, but what if you knew exactly where that journey was meant to end? I wrote the book for people like you, people that have dreams, people that have goals, people that want to walk in their own business, create their own legacy, but just don't know where to start. This book is a handbook. It's a bunch of tools that gives you the steps that you'll need to be able to walk into the destiny, the dream, the life that you desire and should have for you. And start with the finish in mind. You'll discover how to redefine your purpose, build on actionable roadmap, and stay focused on the outcome that truly matters. With practical advice, real-life stories, and a faith-driven approach, Start with the Finish in Mind will equip you to set clear, purpose-filled objectives, navigate challenges with resilience, and build a legacy that you'll be proud of. Start with the Finish in Mind by Hiram Roche, your guide to purposeful living and lasting success. As we look forward, right, when we are looking for the context of going based upon the book, start with the finish in mind. Normally, when we're looking at the finish point, normally it's the success of it's how everything looks when everything is accomplished, when everything has been done. But sometimes in the process of looking at that, it's not the vision of seeing the end game. Sometimes the struggle is the process of the journey. It's how we walk through this journey. It's how we deal with the ups and downs that comes in this journey. And so what I want to be able to do tonight is I really want to be able to kind of give unto us this idea and some tools that can help us while we're walking through this journey, because everything in this journey is not going to be good times. Some moments are going to be hard. And I believe that some of the reasoning of why those things are hard is because it gives us the strength that we need for the vision that we've seen, for the end game. I think sometimes we don't realize that when we are creating this vision, when we're looking for the finish in mind, that person that you are actually seeing, it looks like you, but it's not you. It's not the person that you are currently. It is someone that is went through a combined combination of different stuff in their journey. They have gained strength, they have gained a different perspective, they think differently, they are functioning differently. It's a total different individual. It's a more developed and mature individual that you see at the end of this portion. But we don't realize the things that this individual is going to have to go through to walk to the vision that we have. And so, what I want to do tonight is I really want to be able to take some time and really walk this out. Because what I don't want is I don't want you to go through the process of creating the vision, being able to write down and make sure that your mindset is connected to this vision, then being able to understand the assignment that God has on your life, and then realizing and knowing how to navigate and deal with the different struggles that you have, being able to realize that there is discipline and consistency that I need to be able to function in this journey, but then get through the process of certain pitfalls and things that you're going to hit along the way, and then you quit. Because I heard this phrase some time back that we train for success, we never train for failures. So, because we only train for the success in life, we never prepare ourselves when we have our low moments. We never prepare ourselves and know how to be able to handle sometimes the moments of time where life knocks us down. But I believe if we know and have some form of thought process, when things come against us, when trials and situations happen, we are not going to forfeit the vision because it got too hard. And I want to make sure that through this conversation on tonight, that we give you those tools, that you don't have to forfeit the vision to be able to walk in, because it got a little tough and because it got a little hard. So let's look at a person. I believe he's a grand example for us of what this looks like. And so it's a man by the name of Joseph. And Joseph, I believe, gives unto us this vision and this picture of what this looks like. Now, yes, our journey will not be the same as Joseph's, but we will be able to take some things from his life that I believe will help us to be able to deal with some of the things that we go through. So in Genesis chapter 37, his journey is from Genesis 37 all the way to Genesis chapter 50. But I want to be able to start in chapter 37, and we're going to read a few verses of scripture just so we can kind of get an understanding, and then we'll walk this through, because I want us to start with understanding point one, the reality of the journey. The reality of Joseph's journey starts in verse 30, chapter 37, verses 3. And the reality of his journey starts with him seeing his dream, him seeing the end, him starting with the finish in mind. And then we see Joseph's journey, his reality of all the things that he went through. So let's start in chapter 37, starting at verses 3, and we're going to read all the way to verses 10, because I believe it gives unto us this initial picture for his life and gives unto us a glimpse for us, I believe, also. It says, now Israel is Joseph's father, loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. Verse 5, and Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brothers, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, here's his first dream. Hear, I pray you, this dream which I had dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaves arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about and made ambiance to my sheaf. And his brethren said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? And shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. Now let's pause, and then we're going to continue on verse 9. But let's take a pause here, and let's read this again. Let's read this dream again, starting at verse 7. Let's read this dream again. And I really want to take some time to break this dream down because I want us to be able to see what this looks like. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, meaning we were all working together. We were all working. So it's not one of those things where y'all are working and I'm just sitting back and then I'm enjoying this, this, and this. No, we're all working. We're binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaves arose. My work was elevated. The work that I put in, the work that I did, put me in a certain position where it arose over you. Here, let's just break this down. And also stood upright, and behold, the sheaves stood round about. Your sheaves stood round about, meaning y'all came around me and made ambiance to my sheaf, meaning y'all gave reverence to, y'all bowed to, y'all submitted to my sheep. So it's in this context, we both are going to be working. My work is just going to put me in a certain position based on what I'm seeing. My work is going to put me in a certain position, and the work that the work that I do that puts me in a certain position is going to put me in a position where y'all are going to have to submit to me. This is all Joseph is saying. We're both working, but how I'm seeing my work is going to elevate me in a certain way where y'all are going to have to submit to me. And the scripture says, and they hated him the more. So let's take a pause because we're talking about first your vision. We're talking about your dream. We're talking about your goal. We're talking about this journey that you're on. And in the midst of understanding your journey, you have to understand sometimes people don't like their position in your vision. What we see in Joseph's life is Joseph is saying, listen, we're both working, but my work is going to put me in a certain position and is going to also put you in a certain position. And these two positions are just because of what I'm seeing. He didn't say, I think I was better than y'all. He didn't say, I think that I'm going to be great. It was this aspect of both of us are workers together. We're working. My work, how I'm seeing my life is going to put me in a certain position, but it's also going to put you in a certain position. But here's the context that helps me in the understanding of the reality of our journey. Your dream, your vision, your goal is for you. And while you're walking through your vision, while you're walking through that dream, while you're walking through that goal, you're also understanding this is your position. And it also categorizes other people around you, what their position will be. Everybody can't be the boss. No matter how many people want to be, everybody can't be the boss. But every portion of the job, every person's position in the job is needed. The struggle is, can you be okay with not being the boss in my vision? So here is this context. Now let's us continue, because now it goes into verse 9 is a whole nother dream. And he dreamed yet another dream and told this one to his brethren and said, behold, I have a dream. I dreamed a dream more, and to me, I dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon, and even in the 11 stars made ambiance to me. And he told this to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brother indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? Here's what he said. Listen, the place where what I keep seeing in my life is going to be in a position where I'm going to be higher than those in my family. Listen to what I'm saying. My vision for myself is saying that I'm going to be in a position where I'm going to be higher. I'm going to be different. My life is going to be different than those that came before me. And they're saying, so what you think you're going to be? Like you're gonna be the man, and we just gonna be bowing ourselves to you. Again, it's positions. If I am assigned to be able to be a part of my assignment is to break certain curses, if a part of my assignment is to make certain money, if a part of my assignment is to be in certain spaces, it's a understood fact that I might be different than my mom. I might be different than my dad. I might be in a different space than my aunties or uncles or cousins and my siblings. Like it's okay to understand that, but the reality of it is those that were around him that he was sharing his dream. It's not that they hated the dream, they hated the position that they were in the vision, so they didn't want to support it. They didn't want to help him. Matter of fact, again, the scripture allows us to see the brothers hated him the more, and now the father is just darn not just outright rebuked him. So, what happens when no one in your immediate circle supports your dream? Think that your vision is good enough. Think that your goals that you're trying to achieve is worth having. When they look at their environment or they look at their position, and they're basing what you should and should not do based upon the position that they see themselves in your goal, in your dream, in your vision, and also the position that you think you're gonna be in that's different than what we've been doing. Ain't none of us been kings. Ain't none of us been in a wealthy place. How dare you think you gonna be? So how do you navigate though through this context? And this is just the entry of his vision. Now, because I don't want to be in here, be with us all night, right? Because I could lay this all out. I could be able to work this whole conversation out. Matter of fact, if you want me to take my time with this, we can spend the last week of March. We can spend the last week of March. I just need you to post it in the comment section. Put it in the comment section, message me, let me know, because we will take our time and break his journey down of how he had to walk through this journey based upon the context of what we're talking about right now, because it's important, it's imperative for us to understand how to be able to walk through the reality of this journey, because the reality of this journey is everybody don't have a support system. Everybody don't have people cheering them on when it comes to their dreams and visions and goals. Everybody don't have somebody that's pushing them to be able to go forward when sometimes they want to quit. Joseph was in a space where he shared his dream and vision, and it got him to a position and a point where his own siblings wanted to kill him because, again, of the dream, because, again, of the position that we are in your vision. So they got so upset and so angry at this that they wanted to kill him. The scripture says that one of his brothers was like, look, let's not kill him. Let's just, let's figure out another way to be able to make this work. But we want to get rid of him. We want to get him out of our space because we don't need nobody that's going to put us in these type of positions. So the scripture says that they sell him off. Joseph becomes a slave in Egypt, a foreign area, a foreign place. Joseph is elevated in certain positions in this foreign place, in this foreign world. He goes up and down, up and down. At the end of the day, no matter how high he went, at the end of the day, he was still a slave. He was still not with the family. He was still not with his father. He was still not with the place or in the place where he was comfortable at, where it was familiar, where he could be able to talk about his history and his generations. He was not with those that he thought would have had his back with his dream and his vision. He's still a slave no matter how high he goes. And here's the thing, he even gets to a point as being a slave, as being imprisoned, that he's now being lied on by someone of authority. That someone that has more strength than him. That at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's your boss's wife lying on you saying that you did something that you didn't do. All of this was the reality of his journey. Here's the part that I want to help us to see. Everything that Joseph went through was to get him to the thing that he saw. His brothers didn't understand that my vision was supposed to get you mad. My vision was supposed to get on your nerves. My dream, my goal was supposed to agitate you. If it did not agitate you, you would have never sold me off. If you would have never sold me off, no matter how hard the journey is, no matter how much I wish I could have changed it, if you wouldn't have sold me off, if you wouldn't have never hated my dream, I wouldn't have never been a slave. If I wouldn't have never been a slave, I wouldn't have never been imprisoned. If I wouldn't have never been in prison, I wouldn't have never been in a place and in a position where my boss's wife lied on me. If I wasn't in that position for her to lie on me, I wouldn't have never been in the prison where I was sitting with the butler and the cook. That I was able to interpret their dreams. If I wasn't ever in that position, I wouldn't have never been in the position where I could have been in the posture to be able to be presented before Potiphar, to be able to save Egypt, to make sure that they did some guidelines by how God laid this out for their life. If I wasn't in that position, then I wouldn't have been able to be in the place where my vision showed me I would be. Where I would save my brothers. I would save my father. I would allow them to be able to live a different life than we have never, ever would have ever imagined. But it all started in the beginning of my journey of me having a vision, me having a dream. The scriptures doesn't allow us to be able to see how many times he probably cried, or how many times he probably felt like he was alone, or how many times he probably felt like, man, I wish I was with my dad. The scriptures doesn't allow us to see that. What the scripture does allow us to know is no matter where Joseph was, no matter where he was, no matter what he went through, the scripture says this, and the Lord was with him in his highs and his lows, and the Lord was with him. So this is what I want you to be able to understand. Number one, the reality of the journey is that we're going to go through some things. We're going to have some good moments. Some stuff in your vision is going to uncover how other people have always felt. Understand that some people are going to get mad. Some people will not support it. Some people will try to talk you out of it. All of that is reality. Some people will support you. Some people will encourage you. Some people will be your biggest cheerleader. That's a part of this journey. Some moments you want to quit. Some moments you got the energy to keep pushing forward. This is a part of the reality of the journey. But I also want you to understand this. Number two, I need you to embrace this process. And one of the ways that you embrace the process is you have to change how you look at the struggles that you go through in the journey. I need you to also understand that there are going to be moments that you go through this journey. This is embracing your process. Understand that there are moments in the journey that other people can't walk with you in. So you are not being abandoned, you're just being adjusted. And there's only certain adjustment that can happen when you are alone. I'm pausing on that one for intentionally. There are certain things you don't learn when you got a lot of voices. There are certain things you won't learn when you got a lot of people around you. There are certain things you don't learn when you got a crowd. There are certain things God trains and adjusts your life in when you are alone. But then I also need us to understand this, that this is one of the greatest things you're going to learn, is how to endure with faith. How do you trust God when it don't look right? How do you trust God when it feels painful? How do you trust God when you're going through something and you say to yourself, I've said this, I didn't ask for that vision. I didn't ask for this assignment. I didn't ask for that goal. I didn't ask for that dream. You gave this desire to me. And now I got to go through this and I got to go through that. And I'm feeling this way and I'm feeling all these different emotions. But in the midst of it all, I have learned how to endure by faith. I still got to trust you, because you wouldn't take me through this journey if it wasn't for the development of what you've called and assigned me to do. All of the steps lead for you. All the steps lead to the vision that you showed me and the dream that you gave me. How do I know? Because the scripture says, my steps are ordered by the Lord. If I trust that, then every step I go through, everything that I go through is designed for my vision. It's designed for my dream. It's designed for the goal, for the thing that I saw at the end. All of this is a part of my journey. It's a part of the process. But I cannot lose faith in the midst of the trial. I cannot lose faith when it don't feel good. I cannot lose faith when it doesn't look like I'm doing the right thing or in the right place or doing the right thing or stuff ain't happening in the right time. I cannot lose faith. I have to be able to learn how to endure. The scripture says, endure hardness as a good soldier. You got to be able to be tough enough to make it through the day. I ain't even talking about making it through the year. I ain't talking about making it through a week. I'm talking about for the day, 24 hours. Can you make it through the day? Can you not quit on God when you want to quit today? When you woke up and only thing you thought about was what didn't go right? Can you still be able to push through? Can you still make it through? Now, let me give you some pieces before we end this. We're about to end this right now. This is number 3. This is point number 3, and I'm wrapping it up. I need to be able to give you some practical ways to stay focused in your journey. We are the focus on greatness. Greatness is the ability to be able to serve well. We are starting with the finish in mind so that we can be able to accomplish the things that we need to accomplish. But the only way that we're going to be able to do that is we have to stay focused. So here's number 1. Stay connected to your why. When you ask the questions, we talked about this in the beginning, when you created your vision, you needed to be able to have a clear understanding. Why are you doing this? When we talked about your assignment, who are we doing this for? But I need to understand my why, and I stay connected to this why. God, why did you give me this dream? Why did you give me this vision? It ain't so I can make money. Don't get it. It's not that I can make money. It's not. Why did you give me this dream? Why did you give me this goal? Why do I do what I do? Here's number 2. Surround yourself with the right voices. Everybody is not for you. Nope. Everybody is not for you. And just because they've been around don't mean that they're your support system. Everybody's not for you. Everybody's not for what God has for your life. So what do I need? I need discernment to discern who is and who is not. I need discernment to know who do I need to listen to and who do I need to ignore? Because me being able to hear the right voices will affect my focus one way or another. Here's the last one. Celebrate small wins. This is a big struggle for me personally, but I need you to celebrate small wins. Hey man, listen, you got up today and you made it through the day. You know what? You achieved something today. Hey, look, you know what? You studied something for your dream. You put something together. You actually wrote the first chapter of your book. You actually you actually put a schedule together for today, for which goes with your goal. Like, this is small goals, small things, small wins that you're doing. Celebrate those things, because what those things do is they give you a sense of accomplishment, like you're actually going in the direction that your vision is showing you, that the goal is, that the dream is for your business idea, whatever those things are. So I need us to be able to understand that as we go through this journey has a reality. There are some real things that you're going to experience. Everything will not be high and everything will not be low. Sometimes it's just going to be a plateau. It's going to be a small moment of where it's just flat. It feels flat. Feel like nothing might be happening. But these are just realities of the dream, realities of where we are. But I also need you to make sure that you are being able to take the time to embrace the process. And embracing the process, we have to make sure that we understand we cannot look at problems as just problems. They're a part of this tool. We have to learn the lesson so that we can gain the strength that we need for the assignment that God has called for our lives. But then the last thing is we have to make sure that we are doing what we have to do to stay focused in this journey. All right, family, I love you all. And I hope and pray not only that you get this book, because I believe it will help you, but I hope and pray that you and I are starting with the finish in mind and won't quit through the journey. Talk to y'all next time. Bye bye.